Kristen Welker has been on assignment across the Northeast this week, including in Pennsylvania, where, as we showed you earlier, she sat down with that group of swing voters in Bucks County, a suburb of Philadelphia. A lot of that conversation was looking ahead to the 2024 election and how those voters feel about the candidates. So let's bring Kristen back in now from Boston to tell us more. Hey there again, Kristen.
Hi, Gabe. Well, thanks so much for sitting in the chair today. Really appreciate it. This was a fascinating conversation that I had with these swing voters in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And of course, when we think about Pennsylvania, which is a swing state, we always think about the all-important suburbs of Philadelphia. So these voters are really tuned into what's happening. They have a lot of thoughts about what's happening. They're all aware that we are gearing up for this potential rematch between President Biden and former President Trump. And I started off by asking them about how they felt about that. Here's part of our exchange. If we look at the current polling right now, it seems like it is very possible there will be a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump. How many of you, and just raise your hands, are excited by a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump? No hands. No one's excited by that rematch.
Depressed is a better word.
Yeah. Depressed, why?
Again, I think Biden is approaching senility, if not already in the middle of senility, and running the greatest country in the world, in my humble opinion, is not a job for an old senile person. And Trump is, forgive my French, an asshole. And we don't need that kind of person running our country. And so I look who is the electorate that is voting for Trump? He's like 60, 50. Who the hell is voting for him? Are they Southern rednecks, or who the hell is voting for him that makes him seem so popular? He doesn't even show up at the debates. I don't have an answer. It's a rhetorical question, but
if there is a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump, do any of you know who you would vote for? How many of you are undecided in this moment? How many of you vote you're undecided in a rematch?
I would be undecided.
Why are you undecided?
While I did vote Republican, I didn't love, it was a lot of chaos. I'm someone who preaches kindness, and, maybe it was hypocritical for me to vote Trump in the last election. And so for the next election to have both of them going back up against each other, I don't know if my moral compass could choose one of them.
Where are the leaders?
Yeah,
on the Democratic side.
Michael, do you know who you would vote for if there were a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump?
I feel pretty confident that I know. I am confident that I know.
You would vote for President Biden?
Yeah, and it would sort of like Al mentioned, it would not be a happy or proud vote. It would be the lesser of the two evils.
Scott, do you know who you would vote for?
If Biden versus Trump, yes, I'd vote for Biden, for sure.
And would you do so with enthusiasm?
No.
Why?
Like Al, I share concerns about age. It's just a fact. I think he is still capable. He seems to have the vitality to continue to do the job well, but at 88 years old, just the inherent risk. I just feel that Trump has disqualified himself from office because of his behavior from the election through January 6th onward, and would never vote for him.
And part of what was so revealing about that conversation was just how frank and honest those voters all were. And I thought it was striking, the fact that you had two of them say, yes, they're undecided. That is really significant. It raises all sorts of questions about how seriously they may take a third-party candidate, for example, Gabe. So that was really striking. And here was another part of the conversation that really stood out to me. I asked them, given their dissatisfaction with this potential rematch, and we underscore that word potential, how many of them would think about sitting out on Election Day? Here's what they had to say. Is there any chance that any of you sit home on Election Day?
There is a chance, yeah.
What will make you come out to vote? What will be the deciding factor?
I mean, honestly, I feel if it's Biden versus Trump, I don't know if there's anything that could make me come out and vote that day, which I know is like really, it's upsetting because it's something that, you know, is a privilege for me to have. I just don't want to have my vote count in a way of someone that, of both people I don't really support wholeheartedly, is really what it comes down to. I don't think I would.
Al, is there any chance you would stay at home on Election Day?
No. I love American democracy too much that Biden and Trump, if it's a Biden and Trump race, then I would vote for Biden, even if he was dead.
No chance I'd stay home. I've never.
And I'm a Republican, you know.
No chance I'd stay home. I've never missed an election day. I certainly
Yeah,
am not going to start this cycle around.
Any chance you'd stay at home?
No way. My daughter needs to see me go in there and pull that lever every time so that she knows to do it when it's her
Yes.
turn.
So there you have that dad saying no chance that he would sit at home. He wants to be a model for his daughter, Gabe. So it was just a really revealing conversation, but you could hear the frustration that they have right now with this current political climate, Gabe.
Yeah, Kristen, the disappointment. You know, I heard the lesser of two evils, and that seems to, you know, sum it up perfectly. But, you know, they were so blunt and yet so unenthusiastic. What did you really see about the big picture here? What were your big takeaways, and what does it mean for the future of our politics?
A couple of big takeaways, Gabe. One, these voters, even though they range the political spectrum and they're all swing voters, they shared a couple of things. One, the economy was really at the top of their list of issues that mattered to them. They shared this idea that they could see in the numbers that things were getting better, but they weren't necessarily feeling that within their households. That is a story that we are hearing all across the country. And then they had this very big focus on the issue of democracy. They are all concerned about the future of this country's democracy. And then broadly speaking, taking a step back even further, they say they feel like there's a leadership void in this country on both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue. They want to see strong, robust leadership. They are so disappointed, as we talked about earlier, with the chaos that evolved in the House. And they also feel like there's just this strong sense of leadership missing writ large. And it was just fascinating because they obviously come from different backgrounds and they have different viewpoints, but they share that dissatisfaction across the board. So I think that's just the very big takeaway. We see that in our polls when we see voters, that enthusiasm gap, and they really express that with this very blunt, candid conversation that I had with those fantastic voters in Bucks County, Gabe.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.